What's up, guys? This is Kyle from Wax Museum. Hope everybody's doing well today. I am back with my second installment of my 75th anniversary team collection. As you can see here, I've got an assortment of cards in front of me. So just like last time, I'm going to talk a little bit about each player, and then I'm going to show you whatever cards of theirs that I have. Maybe talk a little bit about how I obtained those. So first off, we've got Paul Arizin. And out of everyone on the list, he's probably the player that I've had the least exposure to, both in terms of history and cards, because the bulk of his career was in the 50s. All of it was for the Philadelphia Warriors. If he was a Celtic, I'm sure we'd be hearing about him all the time, but he still won a ring, though, in 1956. And it's interesting, he also missed 2 years of play as a result of the Korean War, but he was a prolific scorer, and even though he didn't create the jump shot, he's considered one of the major pioneers of the shot. I would say he made it a regular part of his game before that was really the norm. He's one of those guys that's going to get lost in the shuffle, number one, because of exposure, and then number two, because of the era he played in. But you can't penalize him for that, though. So I want to give him his credit today. So unfortunately, like I said, he doesn't have a lot of cards. So I don't have a lot of stuff for him either. So I've got his 1957 Topps rookie in an SGC 3. Let's see if we can get this focused here. There we go. So there it is, 1957 rookie. And then the next license set we had wasn't until 1961, which he had the standard profile card here, which was the main card. And then he also had the action shot here. So like I said, spent his whole career with Philadelphia. So there's Paul Arizin. Okay. The second guy is one that you guys know well, although maybe we're at the point where we know him more as a TV guy, but guess what? Charles Barkley was an excellent ball player as well. We know him as a big man, so everybody thinks round mound of rebound, but he was listed as 6'6" his entire career. And let's see, actually, they list him as 6'6" on here. But really, everything I've read says he was closer to maybe 6'4", maybe 6'5". But imagine someone of his height paddling with guys that were much taller than him for rebounds. And at the same time, he could also run the floor and score. So he's one of those NBA unicorns. And, it's a real shame that he didn't get a ring. I know Shaq doesn't really help with that narrative at all, but he got close. He did about everything he can. But there's only so many rings that can go around, especially when you're playing in the same era as Michael Jordan. So I was going through my stuff, and I was kind of shocked at the lack of Charles Barkley stuff that I have. Part of it is he just didn't have a lot of jersey and autograph cards. He was an exclusive. He signed a new exclusive with Fleer at one point, and then they went bankrupt, so we didn't really get a lot of stuff out of him. So he has since signed with Panini, but that stuff's been pricey from the start. So I'm hoping someday I'll grab me a nice patch of Charles Barkley. I might have to break down and grab a leaf one where there's no picture of him, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed for maybe something from Panini. All right, next up, we've got a guy that is one of my favorite NBA players of all time. Well, he was in the ABA as well, but it's Rick Barry. And I'd already read quite a bit about him in Terry Pluto's Loose Balls book, which is about the ABA. But then I heard podcasts about him from Bill Simmons and Malcolm Gladwell. I went back and read Rick Barry's book, his first book. It might be his only book, but I think he might have written one since then. But I will say that sealed it for me. I absolutely love Rick Barry. He was stubborn. He did things his way. Think about it. He shot free throws underhanded. The guy had no off switch. If you go back and if you watch some of the old timers games from the NBA All-Star Weekend that they used to do, he was playing just way too hard because he was so competitive, and I love that about him. But he was, a great scoring forward, a great passer, a great defender. He's an ABA champ. He's an NBA champ. He's a finalist MVP. He spoke his mind a little too freely at times, but I can't say this enough. I love Rick Barry. So I'm going to start off. His rookie was in 71 Topps, which was also the first year to include ABA players. I've got several variations of that. I say variations, really the same card, but just more damage than the others. This one's got some paper loss here. This one's pretty creased up. I always grab cheap Rick Barry rookies when I see them. This one's creased and says, Andrew, happy hooping. It's got his autograph on it. I got this for like 20 or 25 bucks. The personalization doesn't bother me. I have cards signed to so many different names, more so than myself, so that doesn't bother me at all. And then, of course, I had to grab the 1996 Rookie Refractor, the reprint. I really like this set. I wish I had grabbed more when they were affordable. A little greening there, but not too bad. That's just a great looking card, and gives you a little variation, a little something to chase on top of the regular rookies. A couple other things I want to show here. I've got this Topps Golden Greats card. It's like a motion card. You don't see too much of those out there. I have this Rick Barry Bowman Sterling sticker auto, but it's got a patch on it as well. It's my only multicolor Rick Barry relic. And it's trim. I mean, it was really technically a jersey card, but I consider that to be a patch because it is part of the trim area. So anyway, that's my good Rick Barry stuff. Actually, I have one more here that I was going to show with Elgin Baylor, but I might as well show it with Barry first because he's on it. This is numbered 1 out of 3 from Topps Triple Threads. It's got Rick Barry. It's got Elgin Baylor with that blue uniform that they only wore in certain years. The earlier Lakers stuff, and then it's got Larry Bird. And this thing looks great in person. The green with the Celtics here, it just looks really good. Everything complements everything really well. So, well, that segues great into my next player then, which is in fact Elgin Baylor here, who's the centerpiece of this card. So Elgin Baylor, we talk a lot about great Lakers and the franchise's success, but after the Mikan years, there were some tough times, and Baylor came around and more or less saved the franchise. On top of that, he missed a lot of time because he was in the Army Reserve, so we had a couple guys here that missed playing time because of their time in the service. Now, that's unheard of today, but, these were different times. And in the 61-62 season, he split time with the Lakers in the Army, and he still averaged 38.3 points per game. Think about that. That's when he's flying all over the country in the process. So he's got most points in a finals game with 61. He's one of very few players to score 70, and they won that game, by the way. It wasn't like Devin Booker's 70-pointer when they lost by 10. And unfortunately, he ended up with a pretty significant knee injury and an Achilles injury, and he wasn't quite the same after that. But even then, he played until he was 37. And for his time, his ability to handle the ball and push the ball as a small forward, that was incredibly rare. I wish there was more footage out there, but we just have to enjoy what we've got. So speaking of what we've got here, here's what I've got of Elgin Baylor. I have a PSA 3 1961 Fleer rookie card. He also has the action version, which I don't have that. I like these better. So if I can only get one, I'm always going to get these. I consider these the true rookie. So maybe a little crease there, maybe some discoloring, but for a 3, I thought it looked pretty good. So I've got that. And then next, I've got his 1971 Topps, which, it's a shame he had to retire after that one because he missed out on that Lakers ring. And then number 2 for me, because I chased that 1972 set and he wasn't in there. So I never got a vintage card signed by Elgin Baylor. So maybe I'll have to change that at some point. Or, obviously buy one off the secondary market because he's passed, but I've never acquired one. So what I should say. I showed the blue, part of the blue Topps jersey earlier on this Triple Threads card. So that Topps had a blue jersey that they used for a while. I've got a couple other cards that show that off. This one here has got Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Boris Diaw, Elgin Baylor. And I wish they had swapped one of the players on the back here. It's got Ben Wallace, Mike Miller, Dwayne Wade. I wish, even though I'm not a big D Wade fan, I wish they had put him on the front instead of Boris Diaw. That'd be a pretty cool card there. But a lot of history, a lot of assists on this card. Then I've got this card as well. There is a patch variation of it, but I don't have it. But this is from 2009 Topps called Championship Material. And then one of my favorite oddball sets out there came in 2004. And you'll see the Larry Bird version of that soon because he was an executive for the Pacers. But this is called Ticket to the Pros. So they had a rookie player for a franchise that year. So this is the Clippers version. The rookie was Sean Livingston. And then they either had like an executive or an owner or a coach on there. And at this time, Elgin Baylor was an executive there, so they had his autograph in there. And unfortunately, it doesn't quite fit that window. It's hard to find one that does. This is when they did the prepackaged autographs. They did them more tastefully than Panini does now, but it's just a really cool card. This one's numbered out of 200, so they're out there. You can't always find them, super easy, but they're out there. And then there are lower parallels as well. So that's one that I really like. I've always liked that set. And then finally, this is one of my favorite cards in my collection. This is a 2013-2014 Immaculate Collection Team Logos Numbers, which that's, I don't think it's actually called Team Logos Numbers. It should just be numbers, but that's what the label says here. So this is number 2 out of 4. And I have seen one of the other copies. The other copy that I've seen has a giant piece of the number 2. I'm happy with this either way. I mean, you just don't see a lot of Elgin Baylor relics, and then let alone get one this big. It's super rare. So this is I would consider it a staple of my PC. It's definitely one of my favorite pieces. I acquired it in the past year, and I'm very happy about that. Okay, the last guy that I'm talking about today is Dave Bing. And, I don't have a lot of cards for Dave Bing, but I don't have a lot to say about him either. But he was a 6'3" guard, played for a few teams throughout his career. We know him best as a Piston. As you see, he's pictured here. He was a great scorer for his size, eventually became the mayor of Detroit, so that's kind of cool that we have the continuity there between the playing career and the post-playing career. No one really seems to have a bad thing to say about the guy. To be honest, I'm not so sure his career stacks up with some of the guys who missed this list, but like I've said before, my purpose here isn't to critique what's already been done. It's not to name who I thought should be on the list, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on with the cards here. I've got 2 cards that I actually sent to Mr. Bing myself because he's a pretty good signer in the mail right now. You just have to throw some money in there. So I think I threw a $20 bill in there, maybe 40. I don't remember. It might be 20 per, or maybe it was 10 per. I don't remember. But I sent this 69 rookie. He signed it in bold blue Sharpie, so that's a bonus. And then I sent this 72, which I had a slab 72, but it was really bubbly. So this was an upgrade for my set, and those came back pretty quick. So thank you, Mr. Bing. He's a very generous man. And I believe that money goes for a good cause, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, either way, it helps him out. So, or that's, what he's requesting. So I'm happy to oblige, and he's happy to autograph the cards. Well, there you have it. That's, like I said, that's the second installment. My goal is still to release one of these every Friday, give or take a day. They do take a little while to put together. So I encourage you, if you enjoy this, please like, comment, and share. And as always, thanks for watching.